You're watching this video because you're struggling with dating. And if you love yourself enough to have clicked on this video, that means that you also love yourself enough to listen to what I have to say and actively apply my advice, because it works. Now, I am by no means a relationship expert or relationship coach. I think that all of those titles are kind of open for interpretation because all relationships are different. There's no such thing as mastering relationships, except for the relationship with yourself. Okay, now, before I get into why you're struggling with dating, I do want to explain how I'm credible in this field of understanding, because I myself have experienced some of the worst possible struggles that you could ever imagine when it comes to dating. For one, I didn't go on my first date until I was 19 years old. I was 19 years old the first time I went on a date with a girl. I was also 19 years old the first time I ever held hands with a girl on a date, because that was my first date. Okay, I was 20 years old when I got my first girlfriend, and I was also 20 years old when I lost my V card. I got into the dating game really, really late, and when I started, I went through some of the worst emotional devastation that one could ever experience, and I talk a lot more about that in my book, Soul Shock. If you want to check this out, I have a link in the description. But my point is that I've been through it, okay? I've been down abysmal, down atrocious, down horrendous, down despicable. I was down bad. I was down bad in my romantic life, even up until relatively recently, until I realized that I was the only thing standing in my way. Now, that's the first thing that you guys need to understand. The reason why you're struggling with dating is because you are in your own way. You have to think about the nature of human life. Okay, the nature of human life is to expand, or the nature of spiritual life. No matter which level you approach life at, the ultimate purpose is to expand. Expansion of self through other people. Okay, and the way that we expand is through love. At the physical level, that could be reproduction. At the emotional and spiritual level, that could be an intimate connection, a connection that you share that is not necessarily quantifiable in the way that reproduction is. Nevertheless, expansion is the ultimate goal. So bearing that in mind, we came to this earth to love. That is our ultimate purpose on this earth, is to expand by loving one another. So, in other words, love is inevitable. It is inherent in your earthly experience. You are the only thing that can possibly prevent it from happening. Okay, so how do you prevent love from happening? How do you prevent love from entering your life? You do that by having limiting belief systems. Okay, you harbor limiting belief systems that are preventing you from receiving love. Like I said, love already wants to come into your life, but you're preventing it with your limiting belief systems. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret, which if you've been subscribed to me for the past few months, you've heard this before, but this is probably the most impactful thing that you will ever hear in regards to dating, or in regards to people in general. People don't like to be wrong about themselves. When you develop a subconscious perception based on your limiting beliefs, that you're unworthy of love, or that you are not capable of finding a partner that piques your interest, or anything like that, which I'll get into later on. I'll get into some of the most common limiting beliefs. But if you're allowing these limiting beliefs to define your self-perception, you are going to fight tooth and nail to uphold that self-perception, because we don't like to be wrong about ourselves. Okay, now understand that as long as you uphold that self-perception, you'll never find love, because you don't love yourself. Loving somebody else and receiving love from somebody else starts with loving yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, but you also can't receive if you don't offer your cup to somebody else to pour into your cup. Okay, so you have to work on filling your own cup such that you have something to give, and you also have to work on loving yourself enough to receive when somebody wants to pour into your cup. Okay, because that's how relationships work. Relationships are founded upon giving and receiving. Okay, so you have to learn how to give, and you have to learn how to receive gracefully. Now, like I said, the biggest barrier to giving and receiving in relationships and in life in general is the limiting belief system that you hold in your mind. Okay, any limiting beliefs, any limiting core beliefs that you uphold within your subconscious mind and your subconscious self-perception are going to prevent you from giving and or receiving love. And that's where shadow work comes into play. You have to be willing to do the shadow work. Shadow work is you going into your subconscious mind and identifying, acknowledging, and dissipating these limiting belief systems over time. Now, how do you initiate that process? There are a multitude of ways that you can not only initiate but also facilitate the shadow work process, but my personal preferred method is therapy. And that brings me to BetterHelp, the sponsor of today's video. Now, like I said earlier in this video, I have been down horrendous in my dating life because I harbored these limiting belief systems and I was completely unaware of them. Something that I've realized is that the most toxic people in the dating world are the people who are not aware that they are toxic. I had this belief that I was the victim. I was a victim of all of these women who ghosted me, who rejected me, who were non-reciprocal, but ultimately they were simply reflecting the love that I was giving to myself back to me. But this is where therapy comes into play. Therapy enables you to identify these self-perceptions before you have to go through the painful experiences of having them reflected back to you before you're ready to acknowledge and accept them. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen to you and help you overcome your limiting belief systems. You can talk to your therapist in a private online environment at your convenience. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 20,000 plus therapist network, a lot of which may not be locally available in many areas. All you need to do is fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and within the next 48 hours, you'll be assigned with your own licensed professional therapist. From there, you can schedule secure video and phone sessions, plus you can exchange unlimited messages, and everything you share is completely confidential. I know that one of the most impactful lessons that Janice, my therapist, imparted upon me in my 7 months of doing therapy was the fact that we all have a relationship with other people, but we also have the relationship with ourselves. And if we don't nourish the relationship with ourselves, we'll never be able to give or receive love to and from other people. You can request a new therapist at any time for no additional charge. So click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Jordan Green. That's betterhelp.com/Jordan Green and join the over 2 million people, myself included, who have taken charge of their mental health by seeking professional therapy via BetterHelp. Now, in my time doing therapy, and like I said, I did therapy for 7 months. I just recently had my last therapy session. In my 7 months of doing therapy, one of the biggest things that I realized about myself and about a lot of other people who, if you're watching this video, you're probably in that group as well, is that the biggest limiting belief, the biggest barrier to giving and receiving love is the feeling of being unworthy. You see, you feel unworthy of having a healthy romantic life because you don't love yourself. And like I said earlier, if you don't love yourself, anything that contradicts that, you will reject it subconsciously. Okay, this is why some people, they say that they want a certain type of person, but they always go for the toxic people. That person might be you as well. You might be the person who says that you want one thing, but you actually go for another thing subconsciously. It's because you go for the type of love that reflects your self-perception, because your subconscious mind is always wired for self-awareness. The only problem is that a lot of people are not willing to do the shadow work. They're not willing to confront themselves and actually integrate self-awareness into their lives such that they're able to overcome their traumas. Okay, and this is why people get stuck. This is why people develop such limiting perceptions, not only about their dating lives, but about love as a whole. And this is what gives rise to the red pill community, the black pill community. People bring up statistics and all of these things, and that's cool. I'm not arguing the numbers, but there is a lot more context behind the numbers. There's a lot of nuances that go on within the subconscious mind that cannot be quantified. However, if you look at the divorce rates, they do back my point that a lot of people, they don't believe that they're worthy of that type of love. Therefore, they let go of it. Or they end up with people who they were never supposed to be with in the first place because they don't think that they're worthy of anything better than that. And then over time, it wears on them until they have no choice but to follow their intuition and leave that person behind. Okay, a lot of people, they end up with the wrong partners because they don't think that good people exist. Okay, they have cynical views on love. I've seen this time and time again in the manosphere, where people say that all women are this way, or even on the other side, a lot of women say all men are trash and things like that. And I always knew that those things were not true because I exist. Okay, me and my friends, we all have good hearts. We're not out here playing women and doing all of these different things. We're not promiscuous. Okay, we are good-hearted people who have the best intentions. And it always confused me, it always puzzled me how people could develop such generalized perceptions about an entire half of a species of people. Okay, we're talking about what, 4.5 billion people. How can all of those people be incapable of loving? The problem is that when you feel like you're not worthy of love And your experiences back that up because, like I said, your experiences are meant to reinforce your perceptions. You are subconsciously looking for every opportunity that you can find to reinforce the notion that you're unlovable. Once you get that into your mind and you strengthen that core belief, that's what you're going to find. You're going to find more and more of that. And as you look for more proof, you'll find it. Because guess what? There are billions of people who are the way that you think that they are. Okay, there are people out there who do not have the best intentions in mind. And there are also people who do have the best intentions in mind. Why is it that some people are able to find healthy relationships and others aren't? It's because the people who are in healthy relationships, especially over a long period of time, they don't allow their limiting belief systems to prevent them from finding love.